Hello everyone, welcome to KPC's UPSC Universe. I am Sowjanya, Faculty of Current Affairs. In this video, we are going to discuss one important article from the Hindu. So the article that we are going to discuss today is Finance Ministry pushes for reforms to spur FDI, that is our foreign direct investment. So we are going to discuss this particular article in this video. So why is this in news? So the Finance Ministry, it has made a strong pitch for measures to facilitate foreign direct investment, that is FDI flows, that dipped last year and may remain subdued in the coming months. So there has been a decrease in the foreign direct investment. So this is the reason why this particular topic is in news today. So we are going to discuss about what are the reforms that were suggested by the Finance Ministry to increase our FDI flows. So coming to the syllabus relevance for UPSC, in terms of prelims, it comes under economic and social development, and in terms of mains, it comes under general studies 3 investment models. So under investment models, we are going to discuss, as per this article, we are going to discuss about FDI and FII. And coming to the important concepts in this particular article today, we have two important terms. One is friendshoring and the second one is Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM. So whenever these kinds of new terms appear in news, which are very less often used in news, you have to definitely go through those terms, right? So you have to know what that particular term means, so that if a question is asked in prelims on that particular term, you would be able to answer that. So many a times in this way, questions have been asked on this kinds of terms which were used in news. So whenever you're going through the newspaper, you have to be very careful about these kinds of terms that appear. So in today's article, we have this particular term, friendshoring. So we are going to discuss about this term in this particular video, and also we're going to discuss about this CBAM. So coming to previous year question of prelims on this particular topic, as we know, we always discuss the previous year questions because you have to definitely know how questions were asked on a particular topic in the previous years, so that you'll get to know how questions can be framed on a particular topic which is in news in that particular day. So coming to prelims, in the year 2011, a question was asked wherein both foreign direct investment and foreign institutional investment, that is, the question is on FDI and FII. So you must be aware of what is FDI and what is FII. So in terms of economy, you have to definitely go through these investment models. And as we have discussed, this comes under our GS3. And under investment models, we have these FDIs and FIIs. And the question is basically about the major difference between FDI and FII. So these are related to investment in a country. So FDI, FII both are related to investment in any country. So which one of the following best represents an important difference between FDI and FII? And if you go through these options, so the correct answer here will be B, because FII, it helps in increasing capital availability in general, while FDI only targets specific sectors. So foreign direct investment, it will target some specific sectors. But if you take this foreign institutional investment, that is FII, it will increase capital availability, and this is regarding our bonds, etc. So in those, investment would be made. And coming to the other options, if you look at the other options, these are basically simply interchanged. So actually FDI helps to bring better management skills and technology. So if you consider FDI, foreign direct investment, so we'll get lot of management skills, technology, the know-how, right? So various updated technology from other countries. So we could get all these for FDI. And if you look at FII, it will only bring in the capital to the country, right? And coming to option C, FII flows in the secondary market, and here you can see FDI flows only into the secondary market and FII targets primary market. So this is also a wrong statement, and FII is considered to be more stable than FDI. But no, this FII, it is not a stable one. So when compared to the FDI, FII is not that stable. FDI is more stable. right? So because of this reason, we also call FII as hot money or fly by night money, right? So these terms are used for FII because it is not that stable. So this is about our previous year question. So coming to today's prelims practice question. As we have seen, friend shoring is one important term that we have seen in today's news article. So here we have a question on friend shoring regarding a prelims. This is how a question can be framed. So the statements are, it is the practice of relocating supply chains to friendly countries with political chaos in order to help them. So we have a country A and we have a country B. So there is some political chaos that is happening in this country B. But both of these are friendly nations. So in order to help B, the country A, it will divert and it will relocate all its supply chains to country B so that it will help country B financially. So this is what is given in our statement 1. So our second statement says it is a part of deglobalization process. So what is deglobalization? So first of all, we have to know what is globalization. And deglobalization, as you can see by the term itself, it is the opposite of globalization process, right? So globalization, what would it do? It would make the entire world a single nation, right? But it will have, for example, in case of globalization, we have interdependence and interconnections between different countries. And if we take this deglobalization, whatever interdependence is present between different nations in terms of goods, services, exports, imports, etc., that particular interdependence would be reduced for in terms of globalization. So that is what is known as our deglobalization, right? And friendshoring, it is a part of deglobalization process. So these are the two statements that we have, and you have to identify the correct statement. So here the correct answer is B, and the first statement is incorrect. So we'll look at it why it is incorrect. Because friendshoring, it is the practice of relocating supply chains to countries where the risk of disruption from political chaos is low, right? So we'll take the same example. We'll have country A and country B. So there is some political chaos that is happening in country B. So what will happen? The economy of country B, as there is some political chaos, the economy would be definitely disturbed and it would be unstable, right? So the economic activity would be less. So if, for example, if there is a war going on in country B, then the economic activity would be low. The economy would be entirely unstable. So exports and imports, all these would be definitely affected because of the political chaos that is happening and the disruptions that are happening in this country B. So any other country would not be definitely not so favorable to invest in this particular country or to have a supply links with that country. So what that country will do, country A, it will definitely prefer a country which is having a stable economy without any kind of disturbances and disruptions. So what this country A will do, it will go to country C where the economy is very stable, right? And also it will consider this particular country C and it will relocate all its supply chains to country C, right? So this is how friendshoring works. So the dependence on the country is considered as a threat to the stability of supply chains. It is slowly reduced. So if country A is dependent only on country B where there is political chaos, then what would happen? Its supply chains would be definitely disturbed. So it will consider country C where there is less threat to its supply chains, there is a more stable economy. So it will divert and relocate all its supply chains to country C. So this is what is known as friendshoring. So it's a relatively new term in economy. So be aware of this and do remember the definition of friendshoring. And as we have discussed, it is a part of deglobalization process. So there is a mains PYQ in the year 2016 on this topic. Justify the need for FDI for the development of Indian economy and why there is a gap between MOUs signed and the actual FDIs, and suggest remedial steps to be taken for increasing actual FDIs in India. So you can see there are various parts in this particular question. So first of all, we have to identify and you have to define what is FDI. That is our foreign direct investment. So you have to introduce the answer by defining this. What is foreign direct investment, right? So after that, you have to identify what is the need for FDI for the development of Indian economy. So if our economy has to develop, we need FDI, right? So one among various other things, we also need FDI for the development of our economy. So why do we need FDI? What is the necessity of FDI for the development of Indian economy? So this is our first part of the question. So why do we need it? Because if we look at the only the domestic investors, if we do not get this foreign investments, if we have only domestic investment, it may be having some issues like NPAs, that is our non-performing assets, or some other issues, right? So then having FDI would definitely help us, and we'll have more technology, some skills, and various know-how of various sectors and new technologies. So we can get all this from FDI, right? That is our foreign direct investment, and it would be more stable, right? So FDI is very much needed for the development of Indian economy. And why is there a gap between MOU signed and actual FDIs? So MOUs are our memorandum of understanding. So for example, there is a MOU between A and B, right? Today they have signed this particular MOU that we will invest 1,000 crores in your country. But after 1 month, if you look at that countries, the relation between these two countries, there might be some issues, and the actual FDI that is happening between these two countries, that would be lesser than what they have committed here, right? So for example, on June 1st, they have committed for 100 crores. But if you look at on July 1st, the FDI would be only 50 crores, for example. So there is a difference of 50 crores, right? So why is such gap between the MOUs and actual FDIs, right? And sometimes there would be a time lapse. So for example, the investment, we will do investment from July 1st. This would be given in the MOU, but the FDI, it would not be having the into effect. So MOU will not come into effect on that particular date. They would have some time lapse. So why is there such gap between the MOUs and actual FDI? So this is the question that we have. So there are various reasons for this also, because of our policy regime, because of our tax regime, right? License Raj, and we have different stages of approval for a particular project, right? So because of all those reasons, and also if some bilateral treaty happened between two countries, and the countries, because of various reasons, if they have withdrawn that particular bilateral investment treaties, in that case also the FDIs would not happen as planned, right? So in this way we have various kinds of reasons. So you have to list out all those reasons and suggest some remedial steps to be taken for increasing actual FDIs. So first of all, if you know the issues that we have, you can definitely easily mention the solutions or remedial steps for that. So for example, our policy regime, it is not so comfortable. So what should we do? It should be eased. You can mention policy regime or tax regime should be eased, right? And also the number of steps that are present for approval. So the time that we take for approving a particular project, it is a lengthy process. So we have to cut down that particular time, and we have to make this process even more easier, right? So in this way you can suggest some remedial measures. And coming to today's mains practice question, what is carbon border adjustment mechanism? So this is CBAM. It is also mentioned in today's article. So why is it, how is it connected to today's article? So we have seen that Finance Ministry has said that we must bring upon some measures so that we can boost our FDI, right? So in case of CBAM, what is its effect on India's FDI? Because as we have seen, because of this CBAM, it will definitely affect our exports. The Indian exports would be affected by CBAM. So you'll get to know and you'll understand this once we discuss what is CBAM. So let's have a look at the question first. So you have to know what is CBAM, what are the advantages of CBAM in addressing climate related challenges also bring about key issues associated with the CBAM. So first of all, we'll look at the detailed explanation of important concepts. And as we have discussed already, friendshoring, it is a strategy where a country sources the raw materials or other components and even manufactured goods from countries that share its values. So if we have two different countries which share similar values, then that if that country A and country B and country C, if A and C they say these two countries share similar values, then it will relocate its supply chains to country C. And the dependence on the country is considered a threat to the stability of supply chains. It is slowly reduced, and especially if there is some war going on in country B, what A will do, A will reduce its supplies and other relations with this country B, and it will increase those relations with country C, because it is considered to be more stable, right? So its economy is considered to be more stable, so it will definitely prefer country C to country B. This is also known as ally shoring, and it is a practice of relocating the supply chains to countries where the risk of disruption from political chaos is less, right? So do remember these, and these are a group of nations with shared values. And the purpose, what is the purpose of this? It is to institute countries supply chains from less like-minded nations to those countries having a shared values, and it is a part of deglobalization process. So it may push the world towards a more isolated place for trade and reverse the gains of globalization. So deglobalization process, it is the reverse of this globalization process. Whatever interdependence of countries that we have in terms of globalization, that would be reversed, because the interdependence on the countries would be reduced in this process of deglobalization, right? So do remember this. And after the global economy has been influenced by the year-long lockdown of COVID-19, any form of protection, it will definitely disrupt this already unstable global supply chain. So we have seen, because of COVID-19, after this lockdowns and all, whatever supply chains that we have, whatever interdependence that we have between different countries, that was definitely, it got affected because of this lockdowns. And after that, it has become global supply chain. So if you look at the global supply chains, it got disrupted. So we wanted to correct this instability, but if we go to this friendshoring and all, it will worsen it even more, right? Also, it becomes a trend wherein the world will gradually be separated, and it will be hard for countries to work together for the well-being of entire humanity, right? So these countries will be, it will become groupings of these countries. So all the like-minded countries, they'll come together. So what will happen? All the fruits of globalization, this would be reversed, right? So friendshoring, it's a deglobalization process that could result in short-term supply surprises, and then price hikes and less long-term growth. And friendshoring of FDI, by increasing investments in countries which are geopolitically aligned to each other, it was leading to a fragmentation in FDI flows across the globe. So this is according to a research by the IMF. So IMF also says that if we go through this friendshoring, if the more and more countries follow this concept of friendshoring, what would happen? All those countries which are geopolitically similar, or if they are sharing similar values, all those countries, they would come together. So what would happen? Entire world would become different kinds of groups, right? So what would happen then? So it will lead to a fragmentation in the FDI flows. So these are the effects of friendshoring. And coming to carbon border adjustment mechanism. So we have seen our mains practice question wherein it asks, what is CBAM? So it is a key climate law introduced by the European Union. So this can be also important for your prelims. So do remember this, the CBAM, it was introduced by the European Union. So why was it introduced? It is to address the issue of carbon leakage and create a level playing field for EU industries. So how is it done? It is by imposing carbon related costs on certain imported products, right? So back in 2005, what EU has done is, it has implemented ETS, that is emission trading system. So what happened under emission trading system? It's a market mechanism aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Right. So industries within EU, they are allocated allowances for their GHG emissions, and they can be also traded between the EU nations, that can be traded with one nation with other nation. But EU is concerned that imported products, it may not account for this embedded emissions, because if a country from the EU, it is importing from some other country, non-EU country, where for example here there are no stringent measures for carbon emissions, what would happen? It would be definitely less costlier than the goods that were produced in the EU nations. So that will make this goods of EU nations less competitive. Right, so that particular disparity could happen, and that would keep these countries, EU industries, at a comparative and a competitive disadvantage. So to address all these concerns, what it has done, it has brought about this CBAM. So under this, what would happen? It will impose carbon related costs on imports on specific carbon intensive products. So for example, if India is exporting a carbon intensive product, for example, we are exporting some steel, right, to a EU country or a EU nation, what will happen? It will impose some carbon related costs on this particular product. So we are importing carbon intensive products to a particular EU nation. So what it will do under CBAM is, it will impose a carbon related cost on that particular export from our country, right? So it requires importers to pay a price linked to the average emissions cost under EU's ETS. And if the imported products have already paid an explicit carbon price in their country of origin, then the reduction can be paid. So when this reduction can be claimed, for example, in India itself, we have already paid that carbon price, then a claim could be made for this reduction. Right. So these are the various provisions of what is CBAM. And it has various advantages in addressing this climate related changes, and there are also some key issues associated with the CBAM, because we have some rules from WTO which says discrimination should not be made, right? So India says that these rules would be violated, this could be violated by the CBAM mechanism. So because of when we have brought out the CBAM mechanism, it would violate this WTO rules for discriminating between various countries, right? So these are some issues that are associated with this CBAM, and this is a one important term, that is friendshoring, that you have to remember. This would be definitely important from prelims point of view. So this is about our today's article on FTI, and this comes under our GS3 economy, and from prelims point of view also these terms are definitely important from Indian economy point of view. So that's all about this video. Hope you have liked this video. Thank you.